Hello.
We are back.
We are back. So we both came to the consensus of we basically talked about mostly movies and stuff like that. Now we're going to be talking about horror games, like I guess Doom.
Because apparently,
I mean, to be fair,
apparently Doom is a horror game.
under its classification, it's called a horror game. I mean, to be fair, anything's classified as a horror game if it has like very
blood.
Yeah, basically blood. I mean, COD's a horror game.
I don't know, maybe.
Anyway, but yeah, I personally would not classify Doom as a horror game.
Same.
Because I'm sorry, but if the scariest part of this game is you, it's not a horror game.
Yeah.
But we have already touched on Dead Space and the Callisto Protocol. I love the trailer, the trailer for the Callisto Protocol, where it's just like that monster, literally just destroying the face of like that one dude. Ah, yes.
This game.
Dead Space. God. This game is where it's at, man.
This game gives me PTSD.
Oh, man. I fucking love Dead Space. Like, so this is the thing about me, Adrian. I'm actually trying to kind of finish off my collection of PS3 games.
Oh, jeez.
And so far, so good. I'm literally missing only like 4 titles. I'm missing the Dead Space trilogy, and I'm missing Metal Gear Rising. Those are the only ones I'm missing. I get those, I'm basically done. But yeah, Dead Space was, when I first played it on a friend's console, Jesus Christ, it was fun. Like, just the first time, like, it's not even the first time you saw the necromorphs is when you really got that sense of, ugh. The first time I saw, like, my death in this game was when I really went, ugh. And I looked up on YouTube, like, entire literal death montages for Dead Space 1 and 2, and I'm just like, wow, they really made these really good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of people didn't expect Dead Space to be as good as it was.
Well, then again, not a lot of people expected at the time, the concept of a third-person shooter being a horror game was something that was only known for in, like, Resident Evil.
Yeah, it was only slightly touched upon.
Yeah, and Resident Evil was like, oh, zombies, but that was pretty much it. With Dead Space, it was like, yeah, no, these aren't just zombies. Like, you should... One of the best ways of understanding what these things were was when you shot one in the head, a necromorph in the head, and it just kept going, albeit just more pissed off. And it's like, yeah, no, these aren't zombies. These are necromorphs. Basically, every cell in this thing wants you dead.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it's just... It was a new type of enemy that wasn't just zombies. They were basically just mutated monsters. And there were different types, which really, like, scaled up how much you'd get unsettled. Yeah. Like that one really bloated necromorph that, like, if you damage it, it would just tear open its stomach to, like, what's the word for it? Just birth a bunch of, like, little necromorphs.
Mm-hmm.
It's really gross.
I think one of the biggest, not horror games, but the biggest thing about this was like seeing that happen. It was like, oh hey, I don't care if I'm going to die. I'm going to make sure something's going to come after you.
Yeah, but the biggest part for me after Dead Space 1 was the boss, the final boss. Well, literally everything's been building up to this, essentially just this giant, fucked up, toothy, spiky ass, like, just monster.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was basically just shoot the big yellow spots on it game, but like the spectacle of it was just amazing. Like this is what you were fighting your way towards. I thought it was fun. That was a fun game. Dead Space 2 was even better. Dead Space 3 was Dead Space 3 was Dead Space 3.
Dead Space 3 was definitely just like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, let's talk about The Last of Us
Oh yeah.
and how well
If I can find a good we always do this where I'm like, I can't find
I
a
mean
good
there was
pitch.
one to the very left. Like go up. Yeah, there. Without
Oh,
like
this one?
yeah, you just use that one.
Whoa.
So, counting out the two that are next to her, the one in the very middle is Ellie from The Last of Us. For those who don't know, I congratulate you. I'm not a big fan of The Last of Us games. The Last of Us 1 was alright, because it was effectively just a zombie game.
Mm-hmm.
If I like zombie movies, I like zombie games. But Last of Us 2 really tested my patience when it comes to like it is a very well animated game, but it's like some of the story beats for the actual game really just they didn't work out for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like it was effectively just a contest to see how much of a horrible person Ellie could be, to go on this quest for revenge that I guess to her is okay, but she is literally murdering like everyone to get to Abby, who is essentially the quote unquote big bad. And the thing is, they tried to humanize I think they tried to humanize Ellie and Abby when it came to this, but it's like one of them has to be like the monster, and if you're the monster, then like, oh great, you're the monster. But like they were both the monster, then they're both innocent, and it just comes down to like who is the biggest piece of shit during my playthrough, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a tragedy, I guess, the story of it.
Yeah.
But again, I favor The Last of Us 1 a lot better.
The Last of Us 1 was like, oh hey, this did everything
Joel
that we
basically
needed
found
it
a
to do.
surrogate daughter.
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened in a sense. But yeah, a horror game that I wouldn't really like. A horror game that's not really horror in my eyes is like Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, because the main scariness drive from it is just how well can you make your friends shit themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like like I've seen people who are masters at that, but it gets to a certain point, like once you keep replaying the game, because you're gonna be, it's a multiplayer game. Once you keep replaying the game, you start to be less scared and be more, okay, how do I beat this guy?
Yeah, well, that's like us when we play Dead by Daylight. Like for me, it's like, oh, I know how to play the game, so I don't get scared very often. And then I play with people like Quinn and Jess and
Who
Bree
don't know how
and
to
you,
who don't know.
where it's like,
I didn't play it.
no, you did.
No, I didn't. I don't have the game. I don't own the game.
Oh no, you shared played it, and you played like as Quinn or someone.
Yeah, I watched Quinn play
Which
it.
you watching me fight them is like,
Just, oh god, you're picking them apart.
yeah.
But yeah, it's scary the first couple times you play it, but apart from that, it's eventually it's just gonna die off, and it dies off a lot faster than just like playing a horror game.
I think like the big horror game that like not really scared, but I think it was less of a horror game. It's like, oh, it's in the horror game title, but it's like, oh, like obviously like other horror games were like, oh, um,
There are some horror games that are actually designed to be like good or scary or actually further something. And then there are horror games that aren't meant for any of that. They're meant to be reacted to, like Five Nights. Five Nights is not a horror game that's meant to just be played. Five Nights is a horror game that's meant to be reacted to, preferably on Twitch or YouTube.
yeah, and then there's stuff like The Evil Within, Alien, like stuff like actual
Horror
games like Resident Evil.
Yeah, like the newer Resident Evils, I feel are teetering more towards, I don't know, action games, like horror action than horror.
I feel like some of the games are just like, oh cool, you play them and it's like
Ethan Winters.
After you play it a couple times, it's not the best.
It starts to lose once you're at a point where you're speed running horror games. Then
starts to lose its continuity really fast.
Oh, not continuity, but scariness.
Yeah.
And then again, there's like the torture porn aspect of horror games, which is sorry, it's the torture porn aspect of video games, which is like, you ever played Agony?
Yeah.
There's games like that. There's games like the second Outlast, where literally it's just a bunch of shit happening to you. I guess The Evil Within, but mostly because there's there's a lot of scenes of just you getting like poked at in your eye, or like getting just basically mutilated.
Yeah, in a sense, you're
But I guess if you really suck at Dead Space, then that would count too, because some of the deaths are fucking gnarly.
Yeah, they are. I think like one of the biggest, like I don't play a lot of horror games, but like some of them that I play, I try to like find multiplayer ones, just because it's like it's not as fun for like me and you playing horror games on our own, because it's like, oh, unless it's really like agonizing towards us, we're not really like, we're just gonna play it and it's like, oh, that happened.
Bull.
Cool.
Bull.
Yeah. Baga bull is like, that's kind of like how that is. But
played Outlast. That was serviceable.
Phasmophobia is fun. That's about it. Like, there's not a lot of games where I'm like, I need to play, even games now that aren't horror games, I feel like I need to play it with someone else, because like maybe you've played it too much, or maybe it's just in general I want to feel like I actually have to react to it better.
Playing horror games with your friends, I hate to say it, is great at first, but at the end of the day, it's a really bad thing to do, because when you invite your friend to play a game with you, that energy, it's like inviting me to your house. That energy of just like shit posting is going to completely destroy any semblance of fear. It's going to be more funny initially than anything else, because it's like, you scared the shit out of me, you know.
Yeah, it's like games like Until Dawn.
But then that sense of like levity amidst the party of individuals that are playing, it essentially kind of effectively numbs away the scariness of horror games faster.
Yeah, but that's why, like, so some games I'm just like,
that's why Dead by Daylight's more competitive than it is scary.
Dead by Daylight is all about learning your survivor, learning your killer, and how to avoid that better. But there are people like myself and our friend group where we don't play it that much, so when we get it, we're genuinely probably scared of the new thing that like happened, or like we haven't played it in a while.
This guy actually goes outside, time to scare the shit out of him.
Yeah. But like when we play Dead by Daylight and stuff like that, when we play games like that, we don't try to like go for, oh yeah, we're gonna terrorize each other. We don't give a fuck if we win or lose. It's more of like, we're gonna terrorize each other because that's just...
But eventually, it's just like, it's just through the concept of repetition, because it's the same animations, it's the same scream when you're thrown on the hook. It's like through the concept of repetition, it starts to
dwindle.
Yeah, it starts to dwindle. It starts to lose its mystique or magic. But when it comes to single player horror games, I feel like that's where indie horror has been doing really good recently.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a lot of really good like indie horror games. A lot of Lovecraft stuff I noticed.
Yeah.
A lot of Lovecraft stuff. And
More
effectively
than normal.
Yeah, weirdly, I thought it would dwindle off after Sinking City shit the bed, but no, it didn't. Then again, Sinking City, I think was. Would you consider Sinking City to be AAA? I definitely wouldn't consider it an indie game.
In some aspects, I think it would be AAA, but not like not as like an overall view.
I definitely would not consider it to be an indie game because there's a difference between like AAA horror games and like indie horror. Indie horror knows how to take its time.
Well, yeah, it's like Outlast, like you said. Like that's a prime example of like a game that takes its time.
I mean, you're thrown into the madness pretty quickly, though. Figuratively and literally thrown.
Yeah.
By the big fuck. I feel like a horror game that actually did take its time quite well was Alien Isolation, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
If I remember it correctly, it did take its time.
For the most bit, it did. I mean, games like Resident Evil and Alien and stuff like that, I feel like if it rushes you into the horror too fast, it's just gonna be like, oh, now I'm so used to it, it's whatever. But it's hard. It's hard because, as you said, like we're really desensitized towards some of this shit.
Well, yeah, it's like we're more desensitized towards like jump scares and like gore, but when it comes to like dread, suspense,
psychological aspects of horror,
that's like the only thing that's left that we can actually like get some fear off of.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not macho here. When it comes to dread and like actual psychological horror, I'm all there. Like I am fucking that's some good shit. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
But when it comes to just like spooky monster, rah.
Okay.
And you always notice like the it's almost like a formula at this point. It's just like suspenseful music, cut out suspenseful music, going towards like the door to open the door, opens door, nothing's there, checks behind you, monster. Like suspenseful music, fake out, actual jump scare. That's effectively what it is because you got that sense of calm, like, oh, there's nothing there. So she like takes a breath of relief, and then all of a sudden, oh, boom, monster. It's just, you just know it's coming.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, some horror games they could be different where it's like, oh yeah, no, there's just nothing there, and like I feel like that takes it takes a lot out because horror games have always been the way they are, and as we've said this about like gaming in general, it's just where it is. It's like there's not really, until everything is to a point where everybody's desensitized to everything, things aren't really going to like change a lot on how shit works. And it sucks because a lot of these horror games could probably be better if they just like changed really minute things about them.
Knowing something looming over you, I think that's a good horror thing. Because that was one of the things in Resident Evil 2 that I really liked, was just like Mr. X, he's always after you. Until you fucking kill him, he is always after you.
Yeah, he's always going to be somewhere. He's always going to find a way to track you down. No matter where you go, you could go to the other
No, it's
side
like
of the world.
he is still consistently chasing after you. It does not matter where in Raccoon City you're at. He is there to just chase you down. That's what I loved about Mr. X. Because it was just... He didn't need fangs. He didn't need, like, body horror. He just needed to be a big butch motherfucker and just booming footsteps walking towards you.
That was really like the biggest thing, and it was like that, stuff like that where, like in the case if they did that with like any of like the nightmares now, like if they did that with like Michael or Jason or Freddy or someone like that, if they took like just a turn for the worst and said, oh yeah, no, Jason doesn't show up randomly in front of you or like somewhere you can see. No, he always shows up behind you, breathing down your neck, waiting for you to turn around so he can so he can look at you. That would be more like it would be better.
I just want to see if like the concept of like, here's the thing, Jason is like fucking immortal. He can eat up damage and be fine. He just keeps going. He's the Energizer Bunny. So use that. Don't just make him like a jump scare monster like everyone else. Have him fucking walk towards you. Have him like fucking, like, literally, it could be like a cop he's walking towards. This fucker could be sinking rounds him. Like, why won't you fucking go down?
Yeah.
And it's just like
you built Jason to be something. Use it.
Yeah, he's a fucking monster. He does not know how to die. Even when he did die, he didn't die. God, Jason X, that was fucking hilarious.
Jason X, one of the weirdest things that you could probably watch.
Just the fucking the simulation. They literally shoved to like distract him for a couple minutes. They shoved him into a simulation of just like, I think they said it was like, oh, it basically simulates what you want most in life, and it's just like he's back at Camp Crystal Lake. There are these two women in front of him. It's just like, oh, we love smoking pot. Yeah, we love smoking pot. They both just take off their tops. We love premarital sex. Yeah, we do. They both just go down into like their individual sleeping bags, and they're like beckoning Jason towards him. He's like, all right, cool. As he takes the sleeping bags and like slams them on the ground really hard, slams them into a tree, just basically killing these two, like, you know, quote unquote real to him females. The only thing he wants is just to be back at Camp Crystal Lake killing people.
Yeah, which is like that. It seems really weird. Where it's like, oh, this is what you truly desire, Jason. I desire death.
It's just him back at Camp Crystal Lake, just murdering people.
I mean, they wanted it, so.
Fucking Jason Takes Manhattan. They made it too goofy.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the problem with Friday the 13th. He wasn't really scary anymore. He was just there.
Yeah, no. You can tell there's like a desensitized version of like most horror when literally going around on social media now, it's literally just the game Friday the 13th with just like, oh, you hitting Jason, knocking him over, and
like
then
dancing on him. You know, but literally in Jason Takes Manhattan, you have this like character who's like, oh yeah, I'm a fucking boxer and stuff like that. He's like hitting Jason, like hitting good body shots and shit like that. He's like winding. He's like, so what do you got? Jason just fucking uppercuts his head off, and I'm just like, it's not horror. It's not scary. It's just fucking like,
it's just Jason.
You're just watching, it's just him walking around murdering people. What happened to the scariness?
Yeah. But that's why, like, people need to just, like, do... I feel like because, like, most people are, like, desensitized to most shit, it's like, oh no, now we just had to add a shit more blood and gore to shit because it's not gonna matter.
The thing is, with the original Friday the 13th movies, you wanted to see these characters get fucking blatted across the screen because they were douchebags when they were alive. You didn't want to see them live.
No.
You want to see them fucking die. That was the whole thing. But that's the part that I feel like nowadays kills it. You need them to actually want to live. You need them to deserve to live. Rather than just be like, oh, I'm this fucking jock douchebag that's gonna die immediately.
Yeah,
You
no.
know?
Because that might have worked.
Having them actually like actually fearful and not want to die and not deserve to die makes Jason that much more fucking scary because he doesn't care.
It's not like, oh, I was a jock that pissed off Jason 20 years ago. Now he wants to kill me. Oh yeah, that's really cool. Like, good for you. You pissed off a literal immortal being.
It's like, no, it's like, this is the thing. It's like, almost all the time, he's just been killing, like, bullies, bully whores, stuff like that. And literally, it's just been those types of people, not, like, people who don't deserve to die. Actually, there was that one time he killed that guy who was in a wheelchair. I don't know why he deserved to die, but I know they gave him a reason.
He deserved to die because he was on oxygen or some bullshit.
No.
I know. That would have been a good reason.
But it's like actually...
It's like he was close to death anyways.
Actually make the people he's going after innocent and, like, very adamant on not wanting to get cleaved in half. And that adds a lot more to Jason's, like, he's a legit fucking monster. You know?
Yeah, no, it's the same concept of, like, how other nightmares work, where, in a sense, talking about literally any of the other nightmares where they just kill, like, Michael, for example, he just only goes after the one woman, all the time.
Yeah, and anyone that's, like, between him and his target just get dead. But Jason, it's like, this fucker is indiscriminate. He does not care who you are. He does not care where you're from.
Which, if you're building up a character to be like that, he should act like it. Literally like, oh, this cop doesn't need to die, but this cop, he got in my way, so you're dying. And Jason just takes, like, a full revolver mag to, like, the face or the chest and just cleaves the guy in half.
Still walking towards this cop who's just, like, in shock and awe and in fear as, like, literally seeing the best weapon in this person's arsenal didn't amount to shit towards this guy.
Yeah.
That sense of hopelessness. Like, I am fucked.
Well, yeah, it's like Freddy Krueger when his head gets cut off and he's just, like, Jason's holding Freddy's head and be like, yeah, no, I don't give a fuck about anybody. This is proof. And he's holding
just walks
a
up
Freddy
the
head. Yeah, he's holding a Freddy head that's still living, and he's just like, yeah, this is mine now, and he's just gonna walk around.
Yeah, no, and the reason I say, like, the combination of bully and whore that is, like, typical, and, like, the bitchy, like, blonde who's, like, rich and shit, who will constantly shit on, like, I guess the main character, Final Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, she is typically the one that's first to die.
Yeah, because that's just how she is. But something like, oh hey, my first objective was to kill this bitch, but you got in my way, so sorry, but bye.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
just,
slaughters.
That's just Michael Myers in general. But with Jason, it's like, I don't care if you're trying to stop me or you're just there. I will literally cleave and carve away all the way to this person.
Even if Jason didn't have, like, a specific person, just Jason walking around like Jason through New York City, just cleaving everybody and not giving a fuck.
It's like, he doesn't care who the fuck walks into Camp Crystal Lake. If they're in Camp Crystal Lake,
they're his.
They're his.
You could have, like, not known where you were and stepped 1 foot into Camp Crystal Lake, and that foot's his.
That foot is off.
that is gone. Like, he will come up from the soil and go, mine.
Yeah. God.
There you go, no more foot. There you go, he stole your toes. So, a killer that we didn't talk about, clown. Like, the clown that, takes pinkies.
The fuck?
Yeah, he's a clown. He's a boy.
The fuck?
I have to show because clown.
Yeah, you do have to show, because I don't think I've ever heard of this guy. I know you're not talking about, like, the Terrifier clown.
No, He's just he's like I can't remember like his it's like his name before he became the clown is like Adam something, but I can't remember his full name. It's a character from Dead by Daylight, but they have like when you look at the killers from Dead by Daylight,
What,
they have like descriptions of like
like
what.
Adam the Clown, or just
No.
type in the clown from Dead by Daylight?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh God.
Like this.
Oh Jesus
No, this
Christ.
dude. Yeah, this guy. He's weird. He's the clown.
It's not fucking weird. That's bloated.
Yeah, he is bloated. A lot. Some of the killers from Dead by Daylight are actually. Some of them have like really shitty backstories. Like, well, like Pig. Pig is the reason Chainsaw happens, or not Chainsaw, the Bear Trap, and a bunch of other shit. But yeah, like we were talking about with all like the Dead by Daylight killers, where it's like, oh hey, this could be something. Um. But yeah, I think like there isn't a lot of like there isn't a lot of like people now that actually like.
You know the horror games that are trying to be horror movies now?
Yeah.
Like with well no, it worked with Until Dawn. But then it was like The Quarry. Motherfucker, dude.
Who?
One sec.
Alright, well while he does that. But yeah, like some of the biggest things are like
I'll call you back.
are like just it's super weird because it's
We're professional, I swear.
yeah, no, we try to be. It's alright.
Oh man. Just the constant like just horror movies and horror games. Final question for the whole thing, to wrap it up in a nice little neat bow. How do you think horror movies are compared to how they were like years ago?
I feel like they've gotten better, but not in the way where it's like they genuinely have like better storytelling. It's just the effects that people can bring to the table now. It's a lot of like CGI and the effects of like a better looking killer.
More style over substance.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same when it comes to that. There hasn't been like a horror movie I've seen that's really like that. Sorry, there hasn't been a horror movie that I've seen that hasn't been something that was ripped from Stephen King. Officially ripped, I mean. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like any new horror movies, just it's basic.
At this point, just fucking take Stephen King and Edgar Allan Poe and fucking make those videos because that's the equivalent of what they're doing right now.
Old. Yeah, there was Old. There was it The Tall Grass? I don't know. I want to see if they could ever redo Stalker. It's not a horror movie, but it'd be a nice movie.
Mm-hmm. Something they can just transition into horror movies at this point. Like a lot of it had that horror aspect that just needs to get flushed out more.
Chernobyl Diaries, that was another found footage
Yes.
film that was pretty good.
But that's why there's a lot of things that have like that could have horror aspects if it was flushed out. If it was fleshed out where the horror aspect of it could be finalized in a way, it would be a lot better. Where it's not like, oh hey, now we're stuck with like this type of genre. We just have to stick to what's been working because it might have been working and it might get you views and like in a game sense, it might give you like the audience to buy it, but it's not gonna last.
Yeah, basically.
It's tough, and it's like, but
it really,
you know, when you get people like our age, where our families would watch horror movies while we grow up, we just desensitized to most of it, and
get people our age where our families are more scary than horror movies.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's totally a thing. Yeah, horror movies aren't scary because they're not real. Our parents sitting on us and causing us to, gasp for air. That's definitely scary.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's called. Oh, what happens when you're fucking adopted by a cunt that don't love you?
Jesus. Okay, well, I see.
That's what happens when, life is life, and your slice of life is watching someone say, "Oh yeah, I don't fucking want you."
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
See, exactly like what we mean by like we're just desensitized to most shit.
Yeah.
And it sucks because we don't want to be.
It's just that all the shit that we've watched.
It also doesn't help. And we won't get into politics, but it doesn't help that the government does shit that we don't agree with, and then they scare us.
All of like the horror movies and like other shit that we've like watched, the video games we've played, mostly just horror movies and video games.
Fuck, we played Borderlands 2 for how long? Like 10 years? And that shit's more that shit can be gory.
Everything Krieg says.
Oh yeah, no. Krieg literally says...
I'm the conductor of the meat train!
Poop train.
Huh?
It's poop train.
It's poop train.
Yeah, it's poop train.
Oh.
But like, yeah, no, exactly like what Krieg says in Borderlands. Like, you must put blood in the water and salt the wound because it makes me stronger. Like that type of shit.
It was I watched Doctor Strange, the new Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah. Really quick, before we get off topic, we're gonna end here, and we're gonna like.
Well, no, this is actually a part of the topic. That is more of a horror movie than some horror movies I've seen.
Dormammu. Just death.
Oh no, it's the newer one with.
Well, no, I'm just saying
Witch.
that one's. It's just funny. It's like Dormammu. 10,000 times later, Dormammu.
I've come to bargain.
Give me what I want.
But literally, Wanda.
Yeah.
Like Reed Richards basically. Sorry, spoilers by the way. Reed Richards basically says to Wanda, "It's like Black Bolt here. He could kill you with like a whisper." Or just saying something, and she's just like, man, it's kind of hard to do that without a mouth. As she like phases away Black Bolt's mouth, he feels it, fucking screams, and like the blast kills him. Like it basically blows his head up.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So it literally, it genuinely takes some essence of fear in someone's eyes to like. Oh, that's scary shit.
Fuck. Yeah, no, I looked at that, I'm like, this is a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wanda and Reed. You know that guy could kill you, right? If he just like whispers
by the way,
to you, no more mouth.
The smartest man alive, by the way.
Well, yeah, that was like something that I heard earlier where like, because I'd listen to like random podcasts of like just anything at this point. And there's a scene from a podcast that I remember listening to where there was a angel that got captured by like this government thing. Mm-hmm. And the angel, the first thing they did to that, because they were trying to find out like what about their celestial body gives them like resistance to certain things and shit like that. The first thing that they did was when you look at this angel, and they had like a little, not a brief picture, but they had like a little description of it. This angel, the first thing that they did to them was cut off, like surgically remove its wings, and then took a iron bar and welded it to their eyes so they couldn't see. And like when they like described their body, they just had scars and bruises of like poking and prodding, trying to figure out why they were resisting certain things. I'm just like, where is this in like basic movies?
Science.
Yeah, science.
That's some SCP shit.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
Like it really was. But it's like they were trying to figure out what about this celestial was like why it was regenerating, why it could speak telepathically, like that type of shit.
Why don't you just fucking ask it? Like,
why would they try to negotiate with a prisoner that they just like pretty much put on a deathbed?
I don't know, give them some form of an incentive to.
Yeah.
Like
people
they immediately.
not everybody is smart.
I love that they immediately resort to like body horror, torture. Like, yeah, this is the only route we had. You know, just
you couldn't have talked to me, and you could have gotten it. You could have gotten it out of me in a different way.
Treated me like a basic individual and not like, oh, I don't know,
a piece of scrap.
Clip my fucking wings.
Yeah. But that's something where it's like, yeah. Horror is everywhere. You just have to know how to give it a way to be scary.
Yeah, like SCP.
Yeah, SCP is a great example. So yes, we are done for today.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Don't forget the little plush ball that's actually shouldn't be an SCP. Little slime
ball. Give him a break. He's just there. He's just doing his thing, man.
He giving you happiness. That's what he is
doing.
It's
serotonin.
Like everybody else should have. Just follow the serotonin.
Be happy.
Yeah, don't worry.
Be happy.
Yep. Just follow the serotonin of 999 and you'll be happy, I swear.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's been good talking.
Yeah, it has. I mean, this is something that we do not all the time, but occasionally. But yeah.
So yeah, be seeing you, everyone, or be talking to you. One or the other.
Yeah, I mean, we won't be seeing you, but you really don't see us anyway.
I don't see.
I don't see. I just speak.
I smell.
The smelly smell.
The smelly smell.
Anchovies.
Anchovies.
All right, bye guys.
Cheers.